You level up your skills with us, fam. Ever feel like some people just have that magic touch with communication, like they can persuade anyone, overcome any fear, or even rewrite their entire past? Well, today, we're diving deep into Frogs into Princes, a book that claims to unpack the secrets of these wizards using a fascinating approach called Neural Linguistic Programming, or NLP. Now, Frogs into Princes is actually an edited transcript of a seminar on NLP. And if you're like me, you're probably wondering, okay, sounds interesting, but is this going to be another one of those self-help books that promises the world but doesn't deliver? Huh? Trust me, I had the same initial reaction, but this book goes beyond vague promises and actually provides some super insightful techniques you can apply to everyday situations, whether you're prepping for a tough negotiation, trying to break a bad habit, or just curious about the hidden workings of the human mind. The book kicks off with this really clever story about a boilermaker who's called in to fix a massive steamship. He takes one look at this giant machine, gives it a single tap with his hammer, and then sends the owner a bill for a whopping $1,000. The owner is obviously outraged and demands an itemized breakdown of the charges. And guess what the boilermaker sends back? A bill that reads, tapping with hammer, 50 cents, knowing where to tap, $999.50. What a brilliant way to illustrate the core idea behind NLP. It's not about blindly swinging a hammer at your problems. It's about understanding the system, finding those precise pressure points, those mental levers that create the desired change. NLP aims to turn you into a mental surgeon of sorts, making targeted interventions for maximum impact. One of the most fascinating aspects of Frogs into Princes is how the authors, Richard Bandler and John Grinder, developed NLP by modeling some of the most effective communicators of their time. They studied renowned therapists like Virginia Satir and Milton Erickson, who were known for their seemingly opposite styles. Satir, with her warmth and empathy, and Erickson, with its indirect, almost mystical approach. Both achieved incredible results with their clients, Bandler and Grinder. Instead of getting caught up in the differences, dove deep to uncover the underlying patterns and strategies that made these wizards so effective. And what they found forms the foundation of NLP, claiming that anyone can learn these techniques to level up their communication game. Now, one of the key concepts in NLP is the idea that people think in different representational systems. In other words, some people are naturally drawn to pictures, others to sounds, and others to feelings. These are known as visual, auditory, and kinesthetic systems. And here's where it gets really interesting. By paying attention to someone's language, specifically the predicates they use, you can supposedly identify their dominant system. For example, someone who says, "I see what you mean," is likely more visually oriented, while someone who says, "I hear you," might be more auditory. Now, why is this important? Because once you understand someone's dominant representational system, you can tailor your communication to their specific way of processing information. Imagine how much more persuasive you'd be if you could speak directly to someone's preferred way of thinking. Instead of talking about how something looks to a kinesthetic person, you could describe how it feels. It's like speaking their language, creating an instant connection and making your message much more impactful. But wait, there's more. NLP also talks about accessing cues, subtle eye movements that can reveal how someone is processing information internally. For example, if you ask someone to picture their dream home and their eyes dart up and to the left, that's a visual accessing cue. Or if you ask them to remember their favorite song and their eyes move down and to the right, that's an auditory cue. Now, I know what you're thinking. Is this some kind of mind-reading trick? Not exactly. These accessing cues are just subtle indicators of how our brains tend to work. And while they're not foolproof, they can offer valuable insights into someone's internal processes, helping you understand how they're thinking and feeling in real time. But NLP goes even deeper, suggesting that we all have unconscious strategies for how we think and behave. Think of them like mental programs running in the background. How do you decide what to eat for dinner? How do you motivate yourself to get things done? We often do these things on autopilot, right? But what if we could become aware of these strategies, identify the steps involved, and actually optimize them for better results? That's what NLP claims we could do. Imagine if you could actually reprogram your procrastination strategy or install a new strategy for peak performance. And here's where things get really exciting. NLP introduces a technique called anchoring, which is basically like creating a mental shortcut to a specific feeling or state. By pairing a touch, a sound, or an image with the desired state, say, feeling super confident, you can supposedly trigger that state on demand. Picture this. You're about to give a big presentation, you're feeling nervous, your heart's racing, palms are sweaty, the whole 9 yards. But you've got this instant confidence anchor. Maybe it's a specific squeeze of your fist, a mental image of a time you felt totally in control, or even a specific word you repeat to yourself. And just like that, you're back in the zone, feeling powerful and ready to rock. Now, whether this actually works in practice is still up for debate, but the concept itself is absolutely fascinating. Think about responsibilities. What if we could actually train our brains to access positive states on demand whenever we need them? What if we could create anchors for calmness, focus, creativity, or even love and connection? It's enough to make you question everything you thought you knew about the power of the mind. Right. Welcome back to our deep dive into the world of NLP as we uncover the secrets hidden within frogs into princes. In the last part, we talked about how NLP views the human mind as a system and how understanding that system is key to creating lasting change. We also explored the fascinating concepts of representational systems and anchoring, which offers some really powerful tools for understanding ourselves and others better. Now, one thing that really struck me as I delved deeper into frogs into princes is that NLP doesn't just offer a bunch of techniques and say, good luck. It actually emphasizes the importance of understanding the process behind those techniques. It's like learning to bake a cake. You don't just randomly throw ingredients together and hope for the best. You follow a recipe, a step-by-step process that ensures consistent results. And this brings us to one of the core principles of NLP modeling. Remember those wizards we talked about earlier, like Virginia Satir and Milton Erickson? Well, NLP isn't about copying them blindly. It's about understanding the structure of their success, the underlying patterns and strategies that allowed them to achieve such incredible results. So, how do you actually go about modeling someone? Frogs into Princes provides a detailed process for doing just that. First, you have to choose your model, someone who's already achieving the results you want. Then, you observe them carefully. And I'm going to really pay attention, not just to what they do, but how they do it. What language do they use? What's their body language like? What are their beliefs and values? It's almost like becoming a detective, trying to decode the secrets of their success. You're essentially trying to map their mental model of the world, understanding how they see things, how they make decisions, and how they interact with others. Once you have a good grasp of their overall approach, you start breaking down their behavior into smaller chunks. Identify key steps in their strategy, the specific actions they take to achieve their desired outcomes. It's like reverse engineering their brilliance. And finally, you test and refine that strategy, adapting it to your own unique personality and context. Because remember, modeling isn't about becoming a carbon copy of someone else.
It's about extracting the essence of their brilliance and integrating it into your own style. It's like learning a new language. You're not trying to become the person you're learning from. You're simply expanding your own repertoire, adding new tools to your communication toolkit. Now, you might be thinking, okay, this all sounds great in theory, but how do I actually apply these techniques in real life? And that's where the rubber meets the road. Right? Frogs into Princes doesn't just leave you hanging with a bunch of abstract concepts. It actually provides practical examples and exercises, walking you through how to use NLP to overcome fears, improve relationships, boost your confidence, and even achieve those big, audacious goals. And one of the things I really appreciate about NLP is that it's not just for therapists or self-help junkies. It's for anyone who wants to communicate more effectively, understand themselves better, and navigate the world with more confidence and clarity. Now, before we dive into some more advanced techniques, I want to revisit the idea of uptime versus downtime, which we touched upon earlier. Remember, uptime is that state of being fully present, connected to your senses.
And not lost in your head, while downtime is when you're more in your thoughts, analyzing, reflecting, or maybe even just daydreaming. Now, neither state is inherently good or bad. It's all about context. Sometimes downtime is exactly what you need, like when you're brainstorming, planning, or simply taking a break to recharge. But when it comes to communication, uptime is where the magic happens. When you're in uptime, you're more receptive to those nonverbal cues. You're better at picking up on those subtle shifts in energy and emotion. And you're simply more present with the other person. Presence is the foundation of genuine connection and effective communication. But how do you actually get into uptime? Frogs into Princes offers a few simple yet powerful techniques. One of the easiest is to simply focus on your senses. What do you see? Hear, feel, smell, taste. Really take a moment to connect with your sensory experience, and you'll find yourself naturally becoming more grounded in the present moment. Another way to shift into uptime is to pay attention to your body language. When you're in downtime, you might be slumped over, breathing shallowly, and your facial expressions might be more closed off. But when you're in uptime, you tend to be more upright. Your breathing is deeper, and your face is more open and expressive. So simply by adjusting your posture, deepening your breath, and relaxing those facial muscles, you can actually signal to your brain that it's time to shift into uptime. It's like a little biohack for better communication. But remember, uptime isn't about becoming some kind of emotionless robot. It's about being fully present with your experience, both internal and external. It's about being aware of your thoughts and feelings without getting lost in them. It's about becoming the calm eye of the storm, observing your experience without judgment and responding in a way that's aligned with your values and goals. Now, here's a little challenge for you. Next time we're having a conversation, pay attention to how much time you spend in uptime versus downtime. Notice how your state affects the quality of the interaction. Are you truly present with the other person? Or are you lost in your own head? Are you responding authentically? Or are you filtering your responses through a bunch of internal judgments and assumptions? Just by bringing awareness to your state, you're already taking the first step towards more effective communication. And remember, practice makes progress. The more you consciously shift into uptime, the easier it will become. Welcome back, Level Up Your Skills with Us crew. It's time for the grand finale of our deep dive into frogs into princes, where we'll uncover some of the most advanced and honestly mind-blowing techniques NLP has to offer. In the previous parts, we laid the groundwork, exploring concepts like representational systems, anchoring, and modeling. We even talked about the importance of being in uptime for more effective communication. Now get ready to level up your NLP game as we delve into the transformative power of reframing, the intriguing concept of parts integration, and even how to turn that pesky inner critic into your secret weapon. One of those powerful tools in the NLP toolkit is reframing. Think of it like this. You have a picture in a frame, and the frame represents the meaning you give to that picture. The picture itself doesn't change, but by changing the frame, you completely transform how you see it, how you interpret it, and ultimately, how it affects you. Remember that example from earlier about the woman who was overeating to protect her marriage? That's a classic example of reframing in action. On the surface, it seemed like an unhealthy habit, a problem to be fixed. But by digging deeper and understanding the positive intention behind that behavior, her desire to feel safe and secure in a relationship, they were able to find new, healthier ways to meet that need. And that's the essence of reframing. It's about shifting your perspective, looking beyond the surface behavior and uncovering the positive intention driving it. Because here's the thing, our unconscious minds are incredibly resourceful. They're always working for us, even if it doesn't seem like it at the time. They're trying to protect us, meet our needs, or achieve some kind of positive outcome. So, when we encounter behavior that seems negative or self-sabotaging, instead of judging it or trying to suppress it, we can ask ourselves, what's the positive intention behind this? What's it trying to achieve? Let's say you're struggling with procrastination. Instead of beating yourself up about it, try asking yourself, what's the positive intention behind this procrastination? What need is it trying to meet? Maybe it's trying to protect you from feeling overwhelmed, or ensure you only take action when you're truly inspired. Or maybe it's just trying to give you a much-needed break from all the pressure. Once you understand that positive intention, you can start exploring new, more effective ways to fulfill it. If your procrastination stems from feeling overwhelmed, maybe you need to break down your tasks into smaller, more manageable steps. Or if it's about waiting for inspiration, maybe you need to create a more stimulating work environment or set aside dedicated time for creative brainstorming. See, by reframing the problem, you open up a whole new world of possibilities. You shift from feeling stuck and frustrated to feeling empowered and resourceful. Now, another fascinating concept in NLP is this parts integration. You know, that feeling of being torn between two options, of having conflicting desires or beliefs. NLP takes this idea a step further and suggests that our personalities are actually made up of different parts, each with its own set of values, beliefs, and motivations. Think about it. We all have that part of us that wants to be healthy and fit, and then there's that other part that can't resist those late-night snacks. Or maybe there's a part of you that's super confident and outgoing, while another part is shy and self-conscious. These different parts can sometimes be in conflict, creating all sorts of internal turmoil and even leading to self-sabotage. But here's the good news. NLP provides a way to integrate these conflicting parts, to bring them into harmony so they can work together towards a common goal. Imagine if those warring factions within you could finally lay down their arms and join forces. That's the power of parts integration. Now, the actual process of parts integration can be a bit complex, and it often involves working with a trained NLP practitioner. But the basic idea is to first identify those conflicting parts and understand their respective positive intentions. Then, you facilitate a dialogue between them, helping them see each other's perspectives and find a way to work together. It's like being an internal mediator, helping those different parts of yourself come to a peaceful resolution. And as those parts integrate, you experience a sense of wholeness, clarity, and inner peace. Imagine feeling fully aligned with yourself, all your parts working in unison toward the shared vision. That's the transformative potential of parts integration. Now, before we wrap up this deep dive, we have to address that ever-present inner critic, that voice in your head that loves to point out your flaws, second-guess your decisions, and generally make you feel less than awesome. We all have one. And it can be incredibly draining and demoralizing. But here's the thing. NLP doesn't advocate for silencing that inner critic. Why? Because believe it or not, it actually has a positive intention. It's trying to protect you from failure, rejection, or embarrassment. It's like that overprotective parent who's constantly warning you about potential dangers, even if those dangers are mostly imaginary. The problem is that inner critic often goes overboard, using harsh criticism and negativity as its primary tools. And that's where NLP steps in. It helps you reframe your relationship with that inner critic, turning it from a relentless judge into a wise and supportive mentor. One effective way to do this is to personify that inner critic, give it a name, an image, even a voice. Maybe it's a grumpy old man with a booming voice, or a know-it-all professor with a sharp tongue. Once you've personified it, it becomes much easier to separate yourself from its pronouncements. It's like saying, okay, that's just Grumpy Gus talking. He means well, but he doesn't always know what's best for me. And once you've created that separation, you can start reframing its criticisms as feedback. Instead of taking these words personally, you can ask yourself, what can I learn from this? Is there any truth to this criticism? And if so, how can I use this feedback to grow and improve? Suppose, by reframing your inner critic as a source of feedback, you're transforming it from an enemy into an ally. You're taking away its power to hurt you and using it to fuel your growth and development. Working with your inner critic can be a journey, but it's a journey worth taking. As you learn to reframe its criticisms and harness its positive intention, you'll experience a sense of self-acceptance, confidence, and inner peace that you never thought possible. And that, my friends, brings us to the end of our deep dive into the fascinating world of NLP and frogs into princes.
We've covered a lot of ground.
Explored some incredibly powerful techniques, and hopefully sparked a sense of curiosity and possibility within you. Remember, NLP is a journey, not a destination. It's about experimenting, playing with new ideas, and discovering what works best for you. So don't feel like you need to master all these techniques overnight. Start with one that resonates with you, practice it, and see how it transforms your life. And as you continue to explore the world of NLP, always remember this. You have more power than you realize. You have the power to shape your thoughts, your feelings, your behaviors, and ultimately your reality. So use that power wisely. Use it to create a life that is filled with joy, meaning, and purpose. Until next time, keep leveling up your skills.